What's going on, everybody? Um, just thought I would come on and talk about Hulk Hogan. Anybody, we talk about wrestling on this show, on the channel, I should say. Uh, you know, Wrestling, big part of it. Um, you know, me with Mike, with Anthony. That was one of the things that made Anthony and I, come together a little bit, and uh, you look at, you know, what's happened, with John, Firestarter Breaks, The Beast, and Big John Collectibles, and Anthony coming on and doing the show, Sticks G, yeah, coming on, and it's crazy. Look at what is happening in the wrestling world. You know, uh, Earlier, Buff Bagwell had his leg amputated. Today was just shocking. Um, for those who know me, know that when it comes to wrestling, you know, after Bruno San Martino, which I did not get a chance to see a lot of him. I saw him a few times live when I was, younger. But Hulk Hogan was it for me. He was my guy, the Hulkamaniac, the red and the yellow. You know, each day when I do the show, each day when I come down here at my desk and look up, Mike has got me a great picture one time for at the present. And he got me this, and I love it. It's it's awesome. It's just it's a great thing. And you know, I talk about Hulk Hogan, the wrestler. I know on social media today, there's been a lot of other stuff said, and you know, I agree. What he said was horrible, terrible, never should have been said. But he said it, and he said he's sorry. He regretted saying it. You know, did go ahead, and find became born again, found God, and stuff like that, which is a great thing. And he, you know, hopefully redeemed himself in the Lord's eyes, and he's on his way, up to heaven. Hopefully, when he gets there, Andre the Giant and Scott Hall and man, Randy Macho Man Savage and all the other guys, are there, waiting for him. Hopefully, they're welcoming him with open arms. And like I said, a lot of people saying all the bringing up a lot of the things he said and everything, and I get it. Bad things, but you know, let he who has not sinned cast the first stone. Um, you know, like I tell people, and even in some of the chats that I'm in, I tell people that I started watching wrestling, man, 1975 ish, probably, if not maybe a little earlier, and went ahead and just fell in love with the entertainment aspect of it, and you know just fell in love with Hulk Hogan that night, in 1984 when he pinned the Iron Sheik to win the title. And then WrestleMania 1 and 2 and 3 against Andre the Giant in Detroit. Whew, That stuff was incredible. And again, I know a lot of people don't like him and everything, and I get it. I get it. But I hope a lot of you understand that we don't have wrestling the way we have it right now if we don't have Hulk Hogan. Icon. I spelled it wrong. Whoop. Without Hulk Hogan, you can say whatever you want to say, but it's the God's honest truth. If we do not have Hulk Hogan, we don't have WrestleMania. We don't have wrestling. Is not what you have it as today. It's just not. You know. Sorry. Trying to not have a lot of noise go on, but it's very, very difficult. All the not messages to me, but posts and everything, and getting them and stuff. So it is what it is. Hey, Matty Ice, how you doing, buddy? Yeah. R.I.P. Hulk. It's like I said, I understand what people like, didn't like. For me, it was very different. I was a Hulk Hogan guy. You could, like I said, you ask anybody who knows me and knows when it comes to wrestling. I mean, got right over there, right up over here. I had the Hulk Funko Pops. I have one of the original, Hulk Hogan, action figures. I went to the store today looking for, Topps All Star, and I walked around, and right next to where the baseball cards were, there was an action figure of Hulk Hogan. I was like, well, this is a sign. I got to go ahead and get it. I'm bummed out. He's not going to get to see the real American wrestling, that league. I hope they still go forward. They're having their first event August 30th in Cleveland. Um, hopefully it goes there. But come on tonight. I was wondering, boom, real American beer. I did. I did. I have it sitting. Let me go ahead and get it. Matt, and I was talking to Matty Ice. I was talking to Mike today. This is what I picked up at the National, and I'm so glad that I did. Um, I was telling Mike today, what's up, Kenneth? What's up, Johnny? Um, I told Mike today. I said, I'm bummed out that I didn't go ahead and I didn't buy the other one. So stupid. The one you've seen the picture of him, like with the flag and stuff like that. You've seen that photo around. One with the American flag draped over his shoulder and everything. They had one of those signed and everything, and I'm bummed out that I did not go ahead and get it. I was looking today, and today is a bad day to go ahead, and buy that kind of stuff. Um, but and the prices probably won't come down. So if you wanted some stuff, man, you got to go ahead and uh, you have to bite the bullet and wind up buying it and stuff. But the JSA one that is kind of not like the one that I have, but again, it's the same size as the one I have. It's now like $350, where it wasn't at price at the National last year. I can only imagine what they're going to be. But you know, uh, Hulk, you changed wrestling. You made a lot of fans. I know there's a lot of people who go ahead and have hatred for you for what you said. And like I said earlier, I disagree with it, but you know what? This one is for you, sir. It's a decent beer if you like beer. You can go ahead and find it. But yeah, man, I remember that. Just wow, I remember, watching the WrestleMania match against the Iron Sheik. I watched every WrestleMania. I've watched every WrestleMania. I've seen every WrestleMania. All the ones that he was in, all the ones he wasn't in. I remember that night when he left and he showed up at WCW and he came walking down the aisle and everything. And he joined Kevin Nash and Scott Hall as the New World Order. He joined the Outsiders, and it was the shock. I mean, when you think about it, you know, people are trying to compare the Cena heel turn compared to the Hogan, and sorry, gang, there is no comparison. There is zero comparison between the two. Um, the Hulk Hogan one, fans didn't really want it. This Cena one, fans have been wanting for a while to go ahead and happen, and you know, they're very very different. You know, and I think you know, I think when you look at it from a standpoint of the history of it, people go, well, could it happen to anybody else? Could it happen to anybody else? In today's game, it's very different. Back then, you transform and go 30 years back just go back to the 90s, forget, the 80s, the 70s. There was heels and there were faces, and the lines were not blurred, and the fans didn't blur the lines. Today, the fans blur the lines. I mean, and you see it today. You know, Seth Rollins, wants to be a heel, and he kind of gets heat, but then they sing a song. You know, everybody was shocked when Hogan did it. It was the most, again, the most incredible turn that anybody had ever seen. You know, up to that point, to be honest with you, the only person I think who may have gone ahead and been a bigger one would have been if Bruno Sammartino would have turned. But don't forget, back then, wrestling was more regionalized, so not a lot of people would have known. Hogan, that whole era when McMahon, like I said, you think about what this man had, what this man accomplished, what he did. You know, you don't want to say anybody's bigger than the sport or bigger than the entertainment, and maybe he wasn't. But if he wasn't, let me tell you something. He was damn near close to it. You know, even though he was not as big a Hollywood star, he was the first one who, he really kind of went out there and was the first one that you saw in the big movies, right? Rocky 3. I mean, up to that point, did we really, were there any wrestlers that were doing that type of stuff? Nope. Now Roddy Piper actually was like the first one, but the first one who actually was in, a big time movie. Now, again, yeah, being with Sylvester Stallone in the Rocky series helped a lot, but that's what it was. But he did so many things. He was like the first one who had really his own music. Most other wrestlers, they might have, and he went ahead and used some other music beforehand, but he was the first one for that. You look at what the guy did, and again, I know a lot of people have a hard time separating the two, but if you can, you should. If you have Peacock, they have if you go to the WWE channel right now, they have a special channel. I forgot what they're calling it. Let me see what they're calling it. Uh, Hulkamania Forever. So if you have Peacock, you can go look at Hulkamania Forever, and you could actually, see some, some of the best stuff from him. Uh, Again, I just remember, the matches, the he and Sergeant Slaughter. Man, that was another one. That was kind of a. Remember Sergeant Slaughter? Hogan, beat the Sheik and everything, and then kind of Hogan ran and had all that stuff going on, and then Slaughter came back, and he was like going to be GI Joe and GI Joe, and then all of a sudden, Slaughter had to turn into this, the bad guy and stuff. You go through those fights. You go through what he went through with the Ultimate Warrior. You go through what he went through with Macho Man. And then he goes and he has his stuff with WCW, and the whole concept, everything with the NWO was awesome. I loved it. Uh, but it didn't necessarily really go ahead and help wrestling that much. Not saying that it hurt wrestling, but it did. I mean, it was just, it got too much. It got too much. And a lot of people started thinking about, oh, he's getting too powerful. He's getting too powerful. You know, demanding things, writing his own things and everything. And it's funny. But in sports, we don't really talk about we don't talk about the other athletes that way. You know, we don't. You know, do we really kill? I hate to use that word. Sorry. Do we really go ahead, and get all over the athlete who says, "Hey, I'm not playing anymore because of your my contract. I want you to trade me, and here's where I want to go." Uh, you know, Hulk Hogan did what he needed to do. He wasn't a stupid man. He knew. I mean, he put himself in a good spot. Please name a superstar that wouldn't do that. Yeah. Look, Vince McMahon, again, if the timeline on X right now, which is absolutely going crazy all day long, but if they are the way they are with Hogan, I can only imagine what they're going to be like with Vince. There's a lot of people saying good things about Hogan, but everybody has to put some smart ass comments, in there, and bring it up and everything. And it's amazing some of the people that are coming up and defending, Hogan and everything. Again, you know, I'll say it again, you know, he who is without sin shall cast the first stone. And I'm not sure, and it was funny, you look on X and stuff, and I did not realize that there were this many perfect people in this world, or this many perfect people on that app, that they have not gone ahead and and sinned at anything. So, I mean, it is what it is, but John is right. I mean, we will see. More of him tomorrow night will be epic, and on Monday night, yeah, I think it's going to be interesting. WWE SmackDown. Uh, so where are they? SmackDown is in Ohio. Raw is in Detroit, Michigan. The fans could go ahead and now I'm hoping not, I'm thinking they won't, because I think the wrestling fans, the people that are going to show up, that think WWE is going to do something, those people are going to do something. I'm going to be interested. Are they going to do something at SummerSlam? Night one. Well, actually, they should do something both nights, because a lot of people won't go both nights. They're going night one. But I hope they do a little something, just a little, couple 3-minute video showing some highlights and stuff like that. But being in Cleveland and being in Detroit, I don't know. That'll be interesting. I mean, hey, look, even being in New York and New York, New Jersey, that's not um If you know, you know, from that standpoint. But I think they should do something again when you look at what he meant for the business, and you think about the stars that he made, and they were talking about it on Sirius XM. Um, I forgot who was talking about it. I don't know if it was Ted DiBiase or if it was Sergeant Slaughter. They had them on, and they said, you think about it. Would Big John Studd have been as big a figure as, let's say, if you want to call him a star, you know, if Hulk Hogan was not there? King Kong Bundy, would King Kong Bundy be as big of a star if Hulk Hogan was not there? And the thing is, we really won't know because he was. He put the business. Vince put the business on his shoulders, put the business on his back, and he said, Hulk, you need to go ahead and you're going to carry us. You're going to lead us. You're going to do what you, Hulk, are going to lead my vision of what I think wrestling should be. I don't know. It's a great question. Brando, what's going on, man? Hope all is going. Thank you very much for the support. It is much appreciated. Um, so you know, again, we really, the funny thing is we'll never know because he was, you know, you know, he was the lead dog, man. You know, when Vince McMahon said, "Hey, I need somebody to lead," he looked around and he said, "That guy right there," and that's awesome, man. I'm glad you're doing well, Brando. And that guy right there led him. He led him, led the organization. He led it, and he made. I mean, would we know Kevin Nash? Would we know Scott Hall? I mean, seriously, you know, I mean, guys were around. I mean, there were. Ted DiBiase was around. A lot of those guys. Sergeant Slaughter was around. A lot of those guys were around. Ivan Koloff. A lot of those guys. Well, they were around. You know, But would they have become what they have if it wasn't Vince? Not only was it Vince's vision, but Vince picked the right guy. You think about that. Think about how it could have gone if he picks the wrong guy. Hulk Hogan changed wrestling the way it was to where we are today and where we will go in the future. And if a lot of people don't want to believe that, well, then you know what? You don't. I'm not trying to be mean, but you don't know. You haven't paid attention. You were not watching. You know, in the early '80s, in the middle '80s, in the '90s. You know, without Hulk Hogan, there are no Monday Night Wars because he doesn't go to WCW. He doesn't form NWO. None of that goes ahead and happens. So again, you have to look at what this person, what they did and everything. Yeah, you know, and you can say what you want to say. You know what? And people were talking about it, and I think it was Bobby Heenan who went ahead and said it. Along, and I think I don't know if it was it on X or if I heard it, but Bobby Heenan said, most of your favorite wrestlers, their favorite wrestler was Hulk Hogan from those guys back then. Not the kids of today. You know, some of the kids you see there today. The kids that are in their 30s, little young 30s, excuse me, or in their 20s. No, they're not gonna understand what Hulk Hogan did for the industry. What Hulk Hogan, how Hulk Hogan shaped what they are able to do today, the money that they are able to get paid today. Without Hulk Hogan, you think Netflix signs WWE to what was it, $5 billion, or they have $5 billion worth of TV contracts? Man is a legendary icon. If you could put those two words together, I did, and I don't care if nobody likes it. I wanted to. When we went to the national, I really wanted to go ahead and get up there and go meet him and stuff like that. But I think he was like, I think he was like $300 for an autograph. I forgot what the number was, you know. Um, but again, if you like beer, I mean, I mean, it's not a great, it's not a, I mean, it's good. It's okay. I wouldn't sit and drink a 12 pack of it, but hey, on a night like tonight, um, it's just sad, when the legends, it's sad when when you're a fan of wrestling, it's sad when any wrestler passes away. It was sad when Scott Hall passed away. It was sad when Randy and Macho Man and a lot of the guys you don't even really hear about. A lot of the guys on the independent circuit, a lot of guys who had a cup of coffee with WCW or WWE, and they've gone ahead and they've, passed away also. Brian Pillman, Eddie Guerrero, you know, it's sad. But the funny thing is the man, the myth, the legend, the immortal Hulk Hogan, because Hulkamania will never go ahead and die. Unfortunately, he left us today. Heart attack, cardiac arrest. They're saying, but it is what it is. But hey, you know what? Again, just the matches, the greatness. The him and Mr. T. I mean, him and Andre the Giant. When he picked up Andre the Giant that first time, and he tried to slam him, and he kind of went for his back and stuff, and then he came back and he slammed him and everything. And he did, what people thought was impossible. You know, so uh, interesting if they bring Jimmy Hart out either to show something to do or remembrance. Yeah, I don't know. I hope they do something. Like I said, I really, really hope that they do something. He deserves it, in my opinion. In my humble opinion, you know, he deserves it. But that's just again, that's me because I'm a wrestling fan. To me, you know, you know, I, you know, he's my second. He to me, again, he's my second from Bruno San Martino, and I didn't get a chance to see Bruno San Martino, as much as I saw Hulk Hogan. Yeah, I agree. They need to. There's no SummerSlam without Hulk Hogan. There's no WrestleMania. It was called Hulkamania. Hulkamania is running wild. Hey, we're gonna have WrestleMania. Whoa, whoa, huh? Interesting concept. You know, uh, yeah, wouldn't surprise me, man. I'm again. I gotta believe. Here's the thing. I wonder. Don't wonder. I hope that they do the 10 bell at SummerSlam. Um, and I hope they do something for him. He deserves it. You can say whatever you want to say. He deserves it. But I hope they do the 10 bell. I gotta believe they'll do it tomorrow night. I have to work tomorrow night, so I don't know if I will be home in time to watch. So I may have to figure out I may have to watch on my phone if I'm not home by then. I gotta work all this weekend. I even have to work next weekend. So SummerSlam is up in limbo for me and everything. That's what I said, John. We're all human. We all make mistakes. The perfect one left this world 2025 years ago. All these, like I said, all these perfect people, you know, on Instagram, on X, on Facebook, all these perfect people trashing the man. Again, made a big, what he said was horrible. Uh, but it is what it is. But yeah, mega powers. When him and Brutus the Barber Beefcake, they buddies, running buddies and everything too. And the NWO and what that went ahead and became. And I remember when he came back, they came back as the NWO, and it was like, eh. I remember watching that Raw. What's up, Kenny? How you doing? Um, I remember watching that Raw when Hulk Hogan came back out to the Real American theme and back in the red and the yellow, and the place went absolutely crazy. Um, so my favorite match, wow, you know, it would be easy to say the one against Andre, um, but what's up, Kenny? Yep, tell me about it, brother. Uh, you know, it was not a great match. It was a good match. He got carried by The Rock, but I will tell you the WrestleMania between him and Rock, that one was pretty good. That was pretty good. Do you have a favorite, John? And we can talk about this on Wednesday also. Um, I like that match. Uh, you know, but I mean, it like I said, I like that one. Yeah, same as him. Yeah, yeah. That one, that one was just different. And again, I know, you know, I don't think he was not great in that one. He did as best he could. The Rock matched him, which was awesome. And what they did and stuff, everything. That one was, that one was really great. Obviously the worst one was, the whatever they called that one, the death poke. I forgot what that one was. Um, it's you look back now and you're like, man, imagine if he and Ric Flair would have been able to wrestle, what was it, 20 years earlier or something like that, And he and Austin would have had a really good one, stuff like that. But we'll see. Like I said, he's gonna be he's gonna be remembered as definitely as the legend, as the icon. I know people call Sting the icon, but the truth is Hulk Hogan is the icon. Um, he should, but again, the problem you have is that the younger generations or the newer generations or the younger generations, I say, they're going to remember him by interviews, comments, and all the other stuff they did. If they did see him in the ring, you know, they saw him way beyond when he should have been in the ring. But those of us that that saw him in the '80s, in the '90s, and he's great. And I tell you, you look at it from a standpoint, you know, he didn't have a lot of wrestling moves. It's funny. People talk about John Cena. You got 5 wrestling moves. Hulk could go ahead and wrestle, but he just didn't have it. Favorite is the Raw after May 18th State College Hogan Latino. Yeah, that was the good one. Would be nice to see some legends come out and say something about Hogan on one of the shows. They have been Sirius, Sirius XM now has the Pro Wrestling Nation channel 156, and it's on 24/7. They were having people all day long. They had Ted DiBiase, Sergeant Slaughter. I think they had Michael Cole. They had JR. They had a whole bunch of that's awesome. You were at that Raw. They had a whole bunch of people. There's been a lot of stuff on X. Uh, Sting, Bobby Heenan, Eric Bischoff. A lot of those guys have been saying stuff on X and everything, and it's funny. You know, um, Undertaker, CM Punk, and uh, it's interesting some of the things like CM. You could tell the people who were not fans of his because those are the ones that started off with whether you liked them or whether you hated them, you have to give him, props for X, Y, and Z. Whether you liked his politics or you didn't like his politics, so did I say Heenan? I'm sorry, I forgot. Yeah, I don't know. You know what? I don't know why I said Heenan. Yeah, that one's not gonna go over well. Well, whoever runs Bobby the Brain. Oh, Robbie. Robbie Heenan said something. Oh well. Screwed that one up. Bobby is the Robbie. Got that one wrong. Um, yeah, I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy, what we have going on. So yeah, now, it was Robbie Heenan. I missed that one. It was somebody on X who said something. I think I read the Bobby the Brain Heenan post just before I read the Gorilla Monsoon post. Yeah, I was surprised that I haven't seen anything from The Rock. Like I said, I saw Cena, and I saw CM Punk, Undertaker, um, Ric Flair, Sting, Triple H, Vince McMahon, Linda McMahon. A lot of them came out and said stuff. I'm really surprised. I would have expected The Rock to do some kind of post on X or or he's more, I think, like an Instagram guy, something more on Instagram. So I didn't see Austin come out. I didn't see anything from Austin. I didn't read Austin. I didn't read Ray, but I mean, again, even if you can't stand, and even if you cannot forgive him for what he said, and there are going to be a lot of people that it, a lot of these guys should just at least come out and say thank you. Hey, sorry to hear about the passing. You don't have to make a big ass post. You don't have to talk for 20 minutes, and stuff like that. So we will see. We will see. Hopefully, pardon me. Hopefully, they'll do something on SmackDown. Um, it's it's funny. I saw a post somewhere and someone said, from an industry, you know, is there a passing like this that really goes ahead and makes everybody go, whoa? uh, you think about it like this this much when you know like if you look at baseball, look at hockey, basketball, football, you know, Kobe, I think, had the same. I got, a reaction, but Kobe was, a tragic accident, stuff like that. Kobe, everybody expected Kobe to go ahead and be around for another 40, 50 years. But something like this, when it's someone who transformed their industry that passes, it just hits different. It hits real different. And, you know, you just, you know, yeah, hopefully, his family was around him, which I guess he was. They were. I saw one of his last interviews. He didn't look that great, but not that you would think that he was going to be gone in a couple of days. Um, but it's sad. Like I said, it's when I think about it, my with my fandom and stuff, it just it was crazy. I mean, it really, it was funny being a baseball guy, being a sports fan. He and Fred Lynn are my two biggest. I'll have to go on IG and look. He and Fred Lynn, are the two guys that really had my fandom the most. I mean, I like Cal Ripken, I like David Wright, I like other Mets and stuff, but those two guys, I mean, well, Fred Lynn because I was 11 years old. Hulk Hogan just because he was larger than life. I mean, he was only. Funny thing is you look at him. Like I said, 71. He's only 10 years older than me, and that's kind of weird for someone who was in their 20s to look at a guy in their 30s who was arrested and be like, "Oh my gosh." But I was a fan of the character. It wasn't Terry Bollea. It was Hulk Hogan. I mean, look, him being Italian also doesn't hurt, but it was about Hulk Hogan. It wasn't about Terry Bollea. You know, my two biggest, but again, my two biggest you know, fandom. Wow, your Alexa. Yeah, it was funny. I was watching a podcast this morning, and it was probably around 10:30 ish. In the podcast started about 9 o'clock, and somebody put quick, and it's a the PBD podcast. Patrick Bet David, and he had a lot of people in it. His chat flies. And I was watching on the other side, and I'm like, R.I.P. Hulk Hogan. It's like, "Pah, look at the yeah, ha 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 ha." You know, I didn't think anything of it. And then all of a sudden I went, online to look and I was like, oh my gosh, you have to be kidding me. Holy crap. Um, you know, so we'll see. Wrestling will go on. I don't know if TNA did anything tonight for him. Uh yeah, yeah, that was the first kind of post that I saw when I went to Yahoo was TMZ, and I was like, "Oh yeah, great TMZ, sure." But then all of a sudden, bing, 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 more of them popped up and everything, and then stuff started popping on X and everything, and it was just, it was just terrible, terrible news and everything. I don't know if TNA did anything for him. It's going to be interesting. Um, you know, like I said, just it's weird. The larger than life character, and he's gone, and you know we could only hope for the best for his family. you know, young wife. He had this promotion, the new wrestling stuff going on. He had the stores, he has the beer. Hopefully, these things can continue. I'm sure the stores will be a memorial for him for a while, especially the one in Clearwater. I'm sure that's going to be, crazy. I'm sure there's probably people out there right now lighting candles or hanging out and all that kind of stuff. But Hulk Hogan, Terry Bollea, rest in peace, my friend. I hope you're hanging out with Andre, Randy, Scott Hall, Ultimate Warrior. Cheers for you. Uh, you'll be missed by a lot of people, and I'm one of them, one of your biggest fans. So yeah, I actually started on Collide. I think I had a cheater box the way I saw it. But Hulk Hogan, thank you very much for all the memories. Thank you very much for helping create the sports entertainment that we as fans get to enjoy today because of you. Um, the thank yous are late. All these great thank yous that you've gotten, they should have been done yesterday, not today. But thanks a lot, Hulk. Thanks a lot, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your night. I'll catch you at the next one.